All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man, in his time, plays many parts, his ex being 7 ages. This quotation, taken from As You Like It by William Shakespeare, is perhaps the most apt to describe the personality of Patrizia Reggiani, ex-wife of Maurizio Gucci, heir to one of the largest empires in the history of fashion, and murdered in the mid-90s in Milan. Patrizia, as the instigator of the murder, was sentenced to 26 years in prison, serving only 18 years thanks to penalty reductions and earned paroles. A lot has been written and said about the story, so much that a movie, directed by Ridley Scott, will be released soon, and it will tell the developments and the origin of this incident with a stellar cast, including Lady Gaga, who will play Reggiani herself. However, in this video, we will not describe the events that led to the decline of the Gucci family, but we will focus on the figure of Patrizia Reggiani and her relationship with Maurizio. We will explain the motivations that led Reggiani to take this extreme action and how the feeling of love in certain situations has a universal nature. Poverty is the condition that deprives people of essential material resources, and Patrizia was born and raised in this difficult context. Her mother, Silvana, worked as a dishwasher in a bar in Milan, struggling to make ends meet. In this complex environment, the relationship between mother and daughter deteriorated more and more, giving rise to increasingly heated disagreements and mutual accusations, which would undermine their relationship for life.
Aveva questa mamma che per lei non è stata una mamma, perché la mamma era un'egoista, una mamma che chiama sempre bastarda la figlia. Che cos'è?
The turning point in Patrizia's life comes when her mother marries Ferdinando Reggiani, a wealthy entrepreneur from Milan, who adopts her as his daughter. Having achieved economic stability, Patrizia, ambitious to the core, during a party, looks for and finds in a shy and introverted young man the noble family that she wanted, and that will also bring her fame, wealth, and power. That man is Maurizio Gucci. When the spark of love is ignited, everything becomes perfect and eternal, and the conviction of having found the only person capable of satisfying the infinity of their desire arises in the hearts of those in love. In this magical atmosphere, Maurizio and Patrizia create in their minds an idealized image of the other with the purpose of adoring and venerating it. In the absolute amorous dimension, the sense of things is lost. The lovers, strong in their union, seen as perfect and infinite, come into contrast with everyday reality and consequently with family and friends. In fact, Rodolfo, Maurizio's father, strongly opposes the union, stating that Patrizia is together with his son only for a matter of money, and going so far as to kick Maurizio out of the house and the company. When his son marries Patrizia, he is not present at the wedding. However, the couple has decided, and against everything and everyone, they follow what they believe is the right path for them, because love upsets and subverts the established order, giving lovers a personal and solitary dimension. It will be Uncle Aldo to solve the situation by leveraging the component that has been the strength of the company, the family.
We are like an Italian trattoria. The whole family is in the kitchen, and so we are.
In the dynamics of love, the person you set your eyes on has a unique and unrepeatable meaning, to the point that you are willing to spend any amount of money to keep the flame of love alive. Therefore, Maurizio spared no expense and gave Patrizia the Creole, a 3-masted boat 65 meters long, purchased in Denmark, where it was used as a school ship. The vessel had a reputation of being cursed, because it had always brought misfortunes to its owners. But this does not frighten Maurizio, who uses it for business meetings and sea trips. The urban legends surrounding the Creole may represent the alarm bell of a relationship that is becoming increasingly difficult, tinging with black. Nothing is forever. And when with time that mysterious love fades away, we are brought back to earth by reality that forcefully strips away the veil that covered our fantasy. And the inner ghosts hidden in people's minds come to light. This destructive dimension, made up of lies, betrayals, and deception, and which in this specific case has come at an advanced stage of the marriage, leads Patrizia to brutally hurt and humiliate Maurizio, who has been accused of forging his father's signature in order to take possession of 50% of the family company.
You are not in hiding because you are innocent. You are in hiding because you must have done something.
Your husband is guilty.
Well, I'm sure, yes. He has been too excessive.
At that point, violent quarrels, jealousy, and mutual hatred occurred every day, and finally led to the inevitable rupture of that perfect and infinite bond begun 15 years earlier. Material goods, which in Patrizia's case have always been, and still are, the absolute priority, thus become an armored bunker to be protected and defended at all costs. The status of Signora Gucci, the apartments around the world, and the millionaire bank accounts are the only way for Patrizia to find her lost paradise and to definitively remove the ghosts of poverty that characterized her childhood.
It's true, money cannot buy happiness, this for sure. But anyway, it's much better to have money than not to have. It's better to cry in Rolls Royce than to be happy on a bicycle. That's for sure.
However, Maurizio's request for a divorce to marry another woman threatens everything Patrizia has achieved throughout all these years. The fights and the phone calls become more and more violent, and Patrizia even goes so far as to look for someone who can end her husband's life.
Vendicati, poiché hai ragione. Sii spietata perché sei stata offesa. La superiorità non sta nel non vendicarsi, ma nel trovare un modo meraviglioso, grande, che umili e liberi d'un tratto te.
On a spring morning in 1995, her desire for revenge comes true, at the hands of Benedetto Ceraulo and his driver Orazio Cicala, and thanks to the complicity of Piera Auriemma, Patrizia's confidant and intermediary in the crime, and Ivano Savioni, organizer of the murder. On that day, this crazy act, born of hatred and rancor, irreparably destroys the several families and will lead Patrizia to spend 18 years of her life in prison at San Vittore in Milan. When you realize that your happiness flows from your loved one, you surrender yourself into their hands, becoming one. Once this bond was broken, Patrizia Reggiani felt abandoned and betrayed. The only way she found to return to that eternal and infinite love was to physically eliminate Maurizio, the most important person in her life. But Patrizia had not understood that in this way she would have destroyed a part of herself too. In fact, once this extreme act is accomplished, the demon of love dissolves completely, and one returns to the normality of reality, losing forever that feeling that was believed to be eternal and indissoluble.
Il carcere non mi ha cambiato assolutamente, perché io così come sono entrata, sono uscita.
We hope you liked this video. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on the releases of our next videos. Let us know in the comments if you are interested in watching House of Gucci, or if you have any suggestions for other movies and stories to share. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Ciao a tutti.